This is Oath, Director's Ed Edition, Episode 5, The Setting. Setting of Othello, 1865. Why then? Well, there are three big reasons for me. Why then? Why then, number one, the Emancipation Proclamation. This is an absolute first for blacks in America. Legislative freedom that was very real and very palpable for blacks. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed January 1st, 1863, effectively and legislatively ending slavery. But by no means did the violence against blacks or the societal ills that were thrust upon blacks end. But national law outlaws one of the most brutal, vicious, barbaric acts ever perpetrated against a group of people for an extended period of time on U.S. soil. Why then? The Reconstructionist era begins, and there were different versions, different visions of what the Reconstruction era should look like. For blacks, the most important vision was the emancipationists' vision of Reconstruction. Why? Because this would be most influential to their well-being. Because this vision sought full equality legislatively. This vision sought guaranteed citizenship. This vision sought to have black people represented equally throughout society, to do away with some of the societal blights that have affected blacks. There were other visions that emerged during this time, such as the reconciliationist vision and the white supremacist vision, which sought to uphold cultural standards of the South as well as segregation. This, of course, is in opposition to the emancipationists' view. It is also in the Reconstruction era where the first civil rights laws are passed, and we have the passage of the Freedmen's Bureau and the Civil Rights Act / Bill in 1866. Previously, the Freedmen's Bureau, which was a bureau and organization that wasn't legislated into law, helped immigrants and freed slaves find shelter, homes, and the like. The Civil Rights Bill was also passed in 1866, and I quote, "Enacted by the United States Congress, clearly defining U.S. citizenship and affirming that all citizens are equally protected by the law." Of course, just because a law was passed doesn't mean that citizens of the country followed the law, embraced the law, and blacks bore the brunt of this still. And unfortunately for today in society, it feels like we are at a point of the emancipationists' vision against the white supremacists' vision. Why then? This is also a period in general, before, during, and after, in which we had a cadre of strong black leadership. Now, not in the traditional sense in that we were in positions of power, but in the sense that we were powerful in the midst of opposition against us. I don't know if there was a period in black history where we had so many black folks standing up to power in the midst of the threat of personal injury or death. Black abolitionists were plentiful in this time, especially women. These were people who started businesses. These were people who started educational institutions. These are people who help legislate laws. They risked their lives in ways many of us black Americans today can't even fathom. And they were doing this not for themselves, but for the legacy of the black race post-Emancipation Proclamation. They were dealing in something much bigger than we are used to trying to create today as we fight for our individual freedoms. These were people who we need to and should look up to because of the visions that they had. This is also a period in which white solidarity for the protection and the inclusions of blacks into society and recognition of blacks as human beings was particularly strong. Whites risked their lives to help establish the Underground Railroad. Whites risked their reputation in helping blacks start businesses. Whites risked being ostracized from their community by help educating blacks. There were whites who strongly, clearly, defiantly stood up for black people. And we cannot forget them. We must not forget them. We should acknowledge them, but we must also acknowledge there is no white savior. The white savior idea is a fallacy. Yet the white person as friend is realism. Oh boy. I'll take. So yes, I am at a railroad. I did mention the Underground Railroad. But let me make it clear. The Underground Railroad was not a railroad. It was a system of safe houses set up between blacks and whites in order to help move black people out of slavery and into freedom, or into places where they could escape the hunters of black people. But hey, sometimes you attach the literal to the more metaphorical meanings to try to make a point. Damn airplane.